There are also a number of conspiracies flying out there left and right. Some saying he was arrested for pissing off the elites because he recently condemned the bit of John Cena at the Oscars by calling it a humiliation ritual. Because yes, the professional wrestling jorts wearer who's carved out a career of being a big tough guy that doesn't take himself too seriously and does gags like this, that was a humiliation ritual. Ha! Look at his giant muscles. He must be so humiliated that we can all see his giant muscles. Y'all, this dude essentially went dong out and train wrecked. Did we already forget that movie? But anyway, sorry, the John Cena shit was just so stupid. But then also extra stupid is saying that Tate got arrested because of that. But also, I do want to note that I don't think that this happening was completely a surprise to Tate. He even recently publicly said that England was going to try and hit him, though notably with what he called imaginary charges. But with all that said, as far as where things stand now, as of filming, the court has said that the Tates could be released from custody following their detainment. And Andrew was actually seen speaking after all this.
We're very innocent men, and in time, everybody's going to see that, and we're very excited to finish this judicial process and clear our names.
But for now, obviously, there's a lot more for us to see play out. We have to see if the extradition leads to the Romanian trial coming up faster, what other news might break about the warrant, and the list goes on and on. But while we wait to see what happens, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts here. And then, dear perverts, please do not click the Sydney Sweeney leaks over on X. Both for the normal reasons as well as accounts right now are using the false promise of not safe for work Sweeney photos to get people to click malware links. And to most people, you'd think that it is obvious that these links and these posts, they are suspect. But one, they are absolutely everywhere. And two, never underestimate how stupid horniness will make someone. There is no limit to the level of stupid and or dangerous that will get some people. And so with this specific Sweeney situation, you have places like 404 Media doing a report on how it's taken off on X, calling it yet another example of how under-moderated the platform is now. Because these malware posts actually started popping up and gaining traction after Sydney hosted Saturday Night Live, right back when the discussion about her online got like to a horny high. Also, don't worry, the writer the writer for 404 Media, they put on a cape. They decided today was the day they were a hero, writing, "I clicked around on a bunch of these to the peril of my own safety, and not only didn't see any boobs, Sweeney's or otherwise, my antivirus software blocked me from accessing the sites and flagged them as potential risks." And at the time, outlets like that and Gizmodo, when they covered it, it looked like X had done absolutely nothing to combat this. So I will say, now it does look like they've done a little something, even though it's nowhere near close to solving the problem. For example, right now, you can't search Sydney Sweeney leak on the platform. It just gives you an error. But of course, you're talking about people on the internet. There are tons of ways around this. Some incredibly simple, like if you just search her name alone, you get the results. And in fact, just this morning, the second suggested post with her name was one of these links. And that is they're just more and more popping up online. Though I will say, like if you're scrolling, you're mostly going to find stuff posted either this morning or just in the last few hours as the platform is trying to work to take down the links. But again, new stuff just keeps popping up. It's a game of whack-a-mole. Though again, a shitty game of whack-a-mole, as some posts from last week are actually still up. With some of the workarounds being like, hey, just follow me and I'll DM you. And so while you have outlets saying, moderation on the platform is never good, it seems like it's only gotten worse, right? And lending itself to that argument are the countless celebrity not safe for work trending topics we've seen over the past few months, AI generated or otherwise. And so it just begs the question, like if Elon Musk and co were taking this seriously, or at least as serious as Musk seems to be taking community notes on his posts that somehow disappear, when it's pointed out that he's just spreading misinformation. Seemingly just another example of a billionaire that has the mindset of rules for thee, but not for me. And all of this just kind of begs the question of, is it misplaced priorities and or a skill issue? Though also on the note of Musk, he is in the news for a different reason. Because Elon Musk's charity, well, it may not actually be so charitable. At least that's the conclusion of this New York Times investigation that said that Mr. Musk's philanthropy has been haphazard and largely self-serving, making him eligible for enormous tax breaks and helping his businesses. Right? Because for those that don't know, Musk actually started the Musk Foundation with his younger brother back in 2001, just a year before selling PayPal for $1.5 billion. And for a few years at least, it does seem like he made a bit of an effort. This is what his website looked like in 2004, but by 2005, this is what it looked like. Though I do want to give Musk credit where it's due. It's not like he hasn't updated the website at all. Right? This is what it looks like today. Shit, okay. I mean, there are several more lines. But, being serious, this is not about the foundation's hilariously low-effort website. Instead, it's about things like how, according to the investigation, Musk's foundation regularly fell short of the minimum required donation under tax laws. Right? In 2022, for example, the Musk Foundation donated $234 million less than required. And on top of all that, they found that about half of the money that the Musk Foundation actually did donate went to people or organizations with links to Musk or his businesses. With this including $55 million to help a major SpaceX customer meet a charitable pledge, and $10 million to OpenAI, the ChatGPT developer where Musk once sat on the board of directors. Musk also founded a nonprofit school called Ad Astra, whose students included his own children and the children of high-level SpaceX executives, with two of those former SpaceX execs who spoke to the Times on the condition of anonymity, saying it was understood to be near impossible for the offspring of rank-and-file employees to gain admission. And it kind of just keeps going. Tax filings showing that Musk hasn't hired any staff for his foundation, also that its board consists of only himself and 2 volunteers, one of whom reports putting in so little time that it averages out to 6 minutes per week. And this, as Musk's charity, is reportedly one of the largest in the country. And I mean, in 2022, its total revenue is $2.5 billion. And according to Musk, it takes him and the two other people a couple hours a week to decide what to do with all of that money. And when looking at this, like a lot of billionaires, Musk's charity is also a way for him to pay less in taxes. Right? In 2021, for example, Musk gave $5.7 billion worth of Tesla shares to his own foundation, a move the tax experts say could have saved him more than $2 billion on his tax bill. Though, with all this isn't to say that Musk's businesses or charity hasn't done any good. Though there is a range there, starting with things that are kind of still self-serving. There's situations like Musk giving money to Cameron County, Texas, right, which is where the SpaceX launch site's located. And that popping up in the news because, one day back in March of 2021, around 8:05 a.m., a SpaceX rocket blew up and it showered the area in debris. And I'm not kidding, just an hour, 22 minutes later, the Musk Foundation began releasing funds to the county, with Musk simply characterizing it as money for downtown revitalization. Though also, to this day, the mayor of Brownsville tells the Times that they've received less than half of the $10 million that was promised by Musk. But again, also there are good things that happen. While like seemingly sporadic, he donated $1 million to plant trees after Mr. Beast prompted him to on Twitter. Also donating $1 million to help small businesses during the pandemic after Dave Portnoy pushed him. Though again, there are also examples of him overpromising. Like in 2018, he said he would fund fixing the water in any house in Flint that has water contamination above FDA levels. While the Musk Foundation did chip in, it was a little more than $1 million to schools and a charity for Flint kids. And when the city asked him to fund new water infrastructure and wide-scale pipe replacements in homes, like the stuff that he talked about, Musk did nothing. And then you have things like in 2021, he said he'd give the UN World Food Program $6 billion if it could describe how it would spend the money. So they answered with an actual plan to support 42 million people on the brink of famine, but what happened? Nothing. But again, with all this, we don't have data on his foundation's giving in 2023 yet. So maybe there's a sudden change. And the thing is, it is to his benefit at least to do a little something. Because if the organization doesn't meet the 5% minimum bar for donations, then it could face a stiff penalty tax equal to 30% of the shortfall. And then some things in life can just be so overwhelming that we put them off. But when it comes to increasing debt, just do yourself a favor and don't put it off. Right? If you're at the point where you're making payments every month on your debt and your balances aren't going down, today's sponsor, PDS Debt, has a program that rolls all of your payments into one low monthly payment. And more importantly, just one low monthly payment based on what you can afford. And everyone with over $10,000 or more in debt qualifies. And get this, there is no minimum credit score required. Right? PDS Debt offers options that allow you to pay off your debt in a fraction of the time, saving thousands in interest and fees. And PDS Debt is giving you beautiful bastards a free debt analysis just for completing the quick and easy debt assessment at pdsdebt.com/DeFranco. Yeah, you'll receive a full breakdown on how to save on interest each month and the quickest way to take care of your debt. Just go to pdsdebt.com/DeFranco and get your quick and easy debt assessment today, because it's time to take back control of your life and live for you, not your debt. And then, no, I'm not just reusing a story from yesterday. Boeing is in trouble yet again, with an FAA audit of Boeing's 737 MAX production finding dozens of problems. Right? And this, according to a slideshow presentation of the audit that was viewed by the New York Times, which looked at both Boeing and the supplier Spirit AeroSystems, which makes the body of the 737 MAX. Right, so for the portion that looked at Boeing, the FAA led 89 product audits that looked at specific elements of the production. And of those 89 audits, the company passed 56 and failed 33, with a total of 97 instances of alleged non-compliance. Meanwhile, Spirit AeroSystems had 13 product audits, and of those, the supplier passed just 6 but failed 7. And as always, the devil is in the details, and the details here are super fucking alarming. Right, at one point during those audits, the FAA reported that they saw Spirit mechanics using a hotel key card to check a door seal, an action that the documents say was, quote, not identified/documented/called out in the production order. And at another time, the agency saw Spirit mechanics using liquid dish soap on a door seal as lubricant in the fit-up process and then clean that up with a wet cheesecloth. Right, and those are just kind of specific examples, because these audits were very broad and covered many different parts of the 737 MAX. And the Times reporting with that, many of the problems found by auditors fell in the category of not following an approved manufacturing process, procedure, or instruction, though some other issues dealt with quality control documentation. For example, when auditors interviewed 6 Boeing engineers on how well they understood the company's quality control processes, the average score was just 58%, a solid F for fuck you, I guess. But apparently, when we're building a plane that's gonna have actual human beings in it, the scale should be kind of loosey-goosey. Just because lives are at stake doesn't mean we need to grade on a strict scale. We don't want people feeling bad about themselves, apparently. But arguably the most significant detail of this Times report is the fact that some audits at Boeing and Spirit actually focused on the MAX's door plug, which is what blew off the Alaska Airlines jet mid-flight back in January. And very notably here, the presentation showed that Boeing actually failed that audit. And while the exact reasons weren't provided, some of the issues flagged involved issues with inspection and quality control documentation. And similarly, the audit at Spirit that concentrated on the door plug found 5 problems, with one of those being that Boeing failed to provide evidence of approval of minor design change under a method acceptable to the FAA. Also beyond that, Spirit failed another audit that concerned the installation of the door plug, with that audit expressing concerns about the Spirit technicians who did the work and finding that the company, quote, failed to determine the knowledge necessary for the operation of its processes. So a bunch of really concerning and really relevant stuff because, I mean, there are many other ongoing investigations. Right? I mean, just yesterday we talked about reports that the DOJ is now open to criminal investigation into the door plug debacle. And then, I mean, as far as how these